Outlaw Sports is brought to you by Molson Canadian, made from Canada.
With a wife and a 16-year-old daughter?
17.
This is a release for you coming here, isn't it?
It is.
Hanging with the guys.
Hanging with the guys.
Get some testosterone.
And my daughter is a synchronized swimmer, so it's mostly moms when I go. There's a few dads. So
maybe I should be coming with you now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could, because there's lots of women around.
Do a PR.
Moms.
Well, what do you think I'm going to go after?
MILFs. I never know. Did you know, speaking of MILFs, like, to me that's a derogatory term.
Is it?
Yeah, but I heard CBC Radio last week on a network show discussing MILFs.
It's better than GILFs, grannies. Let's just stay with MILFs. That's a pretty good thing. Let's talk about the Calgary Flames before this show goes any further off the wheels than it already has, because they've got a little bit of a break here until Thursday this week. What are your thoughts on the Flames, the early part of the year?
Average at best. Little disappointing. Pretty good sometimes. Ooh, not very good. So, you know, I go back.
A lot of games got away, eh?
Yeah, they did get away, so that's what I mean. Do I judge them on when they get away? Is that the team that they're going to do that more often? Or what we see when they look good, is that the team that you're going to see more often? So we'll see that level off, I hope. One of the two will come to the fore. Sometimes I'm very impressed with. I do like overall the style of play better now than I did in years past under Sutter. That's for sure. A little more freewheeling defenseman like Jay Bouwmeester getting into the rush. I like that overall.
I'm going to ask you a couple of quick questions. Tell me what your thoughts are of these guys, first of all. Michael Backlund looks like he's playing with a little more confidence.
Michael Backlund, good. Give him a passing grade. I would say that is the development I thought I would have seen a year or two ago. So I think he's on the course we expect him to be, and I think if he keeps this up, he's a good number 2 center.
Not all athletes progress at the same rate.
Exactly. So I'd say good. Passing grade.
Okay. Dennis Wideman on the point, adding a little bit of experience to the offensive game, especially in the power play.
Good.
Yeah.
And he plays the most minutes of anybody on the team.
Yeah.
No longer is it Jay Bouwmeester, it's Dennis Wideman. He's a -1 going into this week. He's got a few points. I think he's good. He doesn't wow me at all.
Is he worth the money though, Grant?
If I don't pay their salary, so I don't care.
Yeah, you don't care.
I don't care. So when I see him on the ice, I say, oh, good. I'm glad we have Dennis Wideman. I think he's better than Scott Hannon. I think he's an upgrade from what we had. To answer your question, probably not worth over $5 million, but he looks okay.
What about Jay Bouwmeester?
Outstanding.
Yeah, he has been. Finally, it's a payoff, but is it? That's been a lot of frustrating years, or were they just using him wrong?
Yeah, I think so. And I think I saw him smiling a few times on the ice against the Oilers. You never saw that.
Yeah.
He looks very emotional kind of guy. But the way he played Saturday against the Oilers, if Jay Bouwmeester can do that every game, then the Flames have an outstanding defenseman. And I said before the season began, that was my prediction, under Bob Hartley's system, Jay Bouwmeester would have an outstanding season. This guy can skate as well as anybody in the NHL. He's pretty good offensively. We haven't seen that in Calgary. And if he can join the rush, he could be the first guy back. Jay Bouwmeester, I think, is going to be like that more games than not this year.
Are they using Sven Baertschi the proper way, Grant? I mean, I don't want to see this kid buried on the fourth line. This is your future. Put him out there. See what he can do.
Well, I think they started that in the first couple of games of the season. I think Bob Hartley, though, Mike, is looking at it a little bit differently. He's saying, if he's not ready, why put him up there? If he's struggling a little bit, we can't base Sven Baertschi on what we saw for a couple of weeks last season when he was phenomenal. He had no pressure on himself. He knew he was going back to the Portland Winterhawks. So I think what Bob Hartley is doing, because he struggled a little bit, he played 5 minutes against the Oilers, is be a little patient with him. Don't put pressure on the kid. It would be great if he could be in the top 6 forwards in the top 2 lines. But Mike, if he doesn't earn that, if he doesn't belong there, then don't push him. Okay, go to the 3rd line, maybe to the 4th line. Don't worry about it, kid. So to me, it's not what we see on the ice. It's how Coach Bob Hartley treats him when he struggles off the ice. Encouragement over making him feel like crap. And I think sometimes we've had coaches around here who banish players to the bench or up in the press box and discourage them. I think Bob Hartley should encourage him and maybe not put too much pressure on him.
Well, you have a theory about a trade. I mean, we've been hearing these talks about Ryan O'Reilly, restricted free agent. Where do you think the Flames should spend their money?
It's a great question, because where do you evaluate this team? It's an old team. So they're not really building for the future with what they have right now. It's almost for the now.
Yeah.
But they're really not strong enough for the now, because they've got a huge weakness, and that's at center.
Right.
That's obvious. They don't have a go-to centerman. Michael Backlund's coming along. Matt Stajan's very average. Camilleri is out of position for me there. Cervenka may move back to center when he gets going. Ryan O'Reilly, if you don't know much about him, he's about to turn 22 years of age. He's played, this would have been his third season in the NHL. He had 55 points with the Avalanche last year. This guy is a 6 foot, 205-pound centerman. He can play it any way you want. He is a good centerman. He is a kind of centerman you want on your team. You build a team around him. It's a gamble for any team, though, because he's a restricted free agent, to give him a contract offer, because you got to pay handsomely for that. But maybe you make a trade.
Yep.
Maybe you make a trade. They say the going price, if the Flames wanted to make a trade with the Avalanche, would be a first-round draft pick and a top prospect, top player from your team. And I would assume if that's on the Flames, it's Sven Baertschi probably.
That's pretty steep. I can see the first-round draft choice. I'd make that trade.
But then you've got a centerman, Mike. You finally got a centerman that's going to make your team better now, this year, and probably next year. Yes, Sven Baertschi in a year or two or three. It's a tough call. I would say the way your team is built with Kiprasov and with Jerome Ginla, Yuri Hudler, Alex Tongue, Mike Camilleri, make that deal if it's doable.
I'm just going to play devil's advocate here. I still think the Flames will be a lottery team this year. So that could be a pretty high.
Do you know how many teams are in the lottery this year? It's now 14 this year because of the lockout change.
You know, that is essentially, that could be a pretty high draft choice.
Yes.
You know, it could be.
But the Flames could finish bottom of the pack and probably get 1, 2, or 3. But because it's 14 teams this year, because of the lockout.
Sure. Yeah. I'm
just
playing devil's advocate.
I know you are. Yeah. But what? So you.
I'd make the trade anyhow. I would, absolutely.
To finally get a #1 centerman on this team, which we haven't had since Joe Newton, like I've said that a few times, that would be phenomenal.
And you know what you're getting. You know what you're getting.
I think you are. Now, the money would be something like Jamie Benn got with the Dallas Stars a week or two ago, $5-point-something million a year for 5 years. I think Jamie Benn got about $26 million. They're about the same age. It's probably going to cost you that money. That's a lot of money.